Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, National Gas Company Chairman Gerald Ramdeen is defending the state company's decision to end its 21-year relationship with international ratings agency Moody's, or as I call them, Moody's, saying the move does not represent a retreat from transparency or independent scrutiny. In a letter responding to criticism from former Minister Vasant Bharat, Ramdeen said NGC had instead engaged Fitch Ratings while maintaining its existing relationship with S&P Global Ratings. Everybody's studying about Moody's as though what? Moody's is the only credit rating agency in the entire world that people can depend on. Ramdeen said all three agencies are internationally recognized members of the Big Three credit rating firms and argued the decision was part of a strategic realignment rather than an attempt to avoid oversight. The suggestion that NGC is somehow retreating from scrutiny is plainly absurd. Otherwise, they would have pulled out from S&P ratings as well. Ramdeen wrote, he said credit ratings are paid professional services and NGC was entitled to assess factors including cost, methodology, investor reach, service quality, and strategic fit when deciding which agencies to retain. Ramdeen rejected suggestions NGC was rating shopping, saying the company continues to maintain international ratings coverage through S&P and Fitch. So what do they have a problem with PNM Patriots and the Kakash media? The proper question is whether the agencies engaged are independent, competent, reputable, and internationally recognized, and they are. So, once again, what is the real agenda by the Kakash media and former UNC members? They are just being authors of confusion, people. My response, the Kakash media and so-called experts refuse to acknowledge the fact that Moody's incorrect ratings of NGC would have adversely affected the company's image both locally and internationally. But their hatred for UNC and the Calcuttas matter more than using basic common sense. And yes, it was incorrect because they were analyzing and they were making their assessment based on the entire country's economic status instead of NGC alone. They were tying NGC's and economic status with the whole country. And we all know that UNC inherited a bankrupt economy. But the management of NGC has significantly improved since UNC came into office. And they have been making a significant amount of profit. And then, so therefore it was totally dishonest and wrong for Moody's to give NGC that type of rating. And that's all the Gerald Ramdeen has been saying for quite a while now. But the Kakash media doesn't care about that. People like Vasant Bharat, who has been an opposer of Kamala for a very long time, he doesn't care about that either. Definitely, the tribal PNM Patriots will never care about anything. They will continue to oppose for opposing's sake as well. The National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago Limited has finalized a new gas sales contract with Methanol Holdings Trinidad Limited, marking the completion of all downstream gas contract renewals with the nation's major petrochemical producers. You see, good management. This milestone secures a long-term natural gas supply for the MHTL complex, ensuring industrial stability, preserving export revenues, and strengthening the commercial viability of the Point Lisa's petrochemical hub. So you see, people, now of course you wouldn't get the Kakash media emphasizing on this or highlighting these this good news. No, why? Because it shines a good light on the Kamala Prasad administration. They will report about it, you know. But you know, they will report about it quickly, boop, 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 in a little business watch or whatever segment, and then boom, you never hear about it again. But you see anything that is controversial, any sort of allegations being made against the United National Congress and the Kamala Prasad administration, 3-4 times for the day, they will repost the same thing on their social media. And of course, they will be reporting it at the 7 p.m. Kakash and Ria Rambley News.
Trinidad and Tobago weather forecast for Wednesday, 20th May 2026. Is mostly fair, hazy and breezy with daytime temperatures peaking at 30 degrees Celsius to 31 degrees Celsius and nighttime lows dropping to 24 degrees Celsius. According to the official Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service, a mild to moderate concentration of Saharan dust is present in the atmosphere, so individuals sensitive to changes in air quality should take necessary precautions. Expect hazy conditions to persist through both the day and night. Rainfall chances remain relatively low overall, but there is a 25% to 35% probability of an isolated afternoon shower, particularly over inland areas of Trinidad. Winds are blowing from the east to southeast at speeds of 10 to 30 km per hour with a maximum apparent heat index expected to feel like 33 degrees Celsius. Sea states remain moderate, featuring open-to-water waves spanning 1.8 meters to 2.3 meters and sheltered area waves hovering around 1.5 meters.
Regional news now. Guyana Power and Light Inc. is pursuing recovery of over $8 million in damages and operational losses after a contractor's equipment destroyed a key 69 kV transmission line on the east bank of Demerara. The incident caused widespread blackouts across the Demerara-Berbice interconnected system and highlights the company's commitment to holding third-party operators accountable for the infrastructure damage. And I definitely hope that the contractor is really definitely held accountable. But under the Ofanali administration, most likely he will. The National Education Trust is continuing its island-wide rehabilitation program to restore schools affected by Hurricane Melissa, underscoring the government's commitment to rebuilding safe, resilient, and supportive learning environments for Jamaica's children. Jamaica continues on the road to recovery, while the world just studies Gaza Mercy. Should be helping Jamaica a whole lot more. But that's the hypocrisy of especially the UN and stuff like that. They don't really care about those who actually need it. They just care about their political agendas. Anchovy Primary School in St. James and Ferncourt High School in Claremont, St. Anne are among the institutions undergoing urgent infrastructural repairs after sustaining significant damage to classrooms, roofing systems, and other vital learning spaces. I hope the community, the Caribbean community, continues to donate and send support for the entire population of Jamaica, especially in the rural areas, which still need a lot of assistance, a lot of humanitarian aid, people. Yes, if you see some of the videos, certain areas were completely and utterly destroyed, even if it wasn't because of the hurricane itself, the flooding was really significant. It was terrible. This year's Fisherman's Day Committee in St. Vincent and the Grenadines has confirmed that winners in the various fishing competitions will receive cash prizes only, unlike previous years when prizes included boat engines and other equipment. Coordinator of Fisherman's Day Activities 2026, Farik Short, told SVG TV News that following discussions with fishermen, competitors indicated that they preferred cash prizes instead of engines, which previously formed part of the award. Because you see, at the end of the day, you may not actually need a new engine anytime soon. But cash is always welcome. I and all would have been saying, no, just give me the cash.
Right, and class one, that's the class where you can win your where you're gonna win the Fisherman of the Year competition. Right, so first prize in class one is $25,000. Right, $25,000. Years gone by, we did the engine as a prize, but the vast majority of fishers, they say no, they would prefer the cash prize. First place was an engine, right? So this year, because the challenge is a lot of guys, they already have engines, right? And they see it hard to put down an engine over the years, just waiting for the one that they have, to get damaged or whatever. So they usually, when they win the competition, they usually have to sell the engine, right? And sometimes it's a struggle to get the engine sold because everybody has engines, right? So this year we've opted for the cash prize. Second place in the class one the heaviest catch, that's $12,000, and third place is $7,000. Now in class two, that's the guys, you know, with your hand line who go for your demersals, your snappers, your hine, your butterfish, and so forth, right? First place, $12,000. Second place, $8,000, and third place, $4,000, right? So the winner for the beat in competition, right? First place would be $10,000, and second place, $7,000, and your third place would be $3,000. That's for the beat in competition.
The Barbados Egg and Poultry Producers Association expressed surprise at a commercial processor bypassing established channels to directly recruit small farmers for contract growing while signaling willingness to collaborate on expanding production and strengthening food security. I either reported about this on this YouTube channel or my other YouTube channel just yesterday. Now, I think he has good intentions, but it seems as though it could be something that could end up negatively affecting the smaller farmers depending on how it's managed. The association warned that bypassing established channels disrupts supply planning and puts small farmers at financial risk during market fluctuations. And the question is, will this massive giant company be able to assist or compensate farmers if that does occur? This direct recruitment aims to stabilize the volatile sector, supporting independent farmers through secured market access and reduced reliance on imports. The Office of the Prime Minister of the Bahamas stated that no public official has been identified in connection with a US DEA affidavit alleging a local politician's involvement in a drug trafficking operation. But if it's true, my goodness, authorities are coordinating with US officials and pledging to hold any involved individuals accountable to maintain public trust and international relations. If I get any update on this situation, I will definitely report it on either of my channels. International news now. Vice President J.D. Vance says the DOJ is looking into whether Representative Ilhan Omar, jihadist Ilhan Omar, committed immigration fraud tied to long-running allegations surrounding her marriage history. Look how long it takes to be able to investigate that now, or at least launch an investigation. People have been sounding the alarm about that for months upon months now, but thankfully, at least, it seems as though it has begun. An investigation has begun. Although I think I heard about this in the past too. Let's see where it goes from there. Right? Let's see where it goes. The allegations center on claims that Omar married her brother to help him gain legal status in the U.S. Accusations she has repeatedly denied for years. Okay, then, well, let us see, man. Let us see what the evidence says. Vance's comments are instantly reigniting one of the most controversial political stories tied to the Minnesota Democrat as critics push for further investigation. The kind of information I've seen online, if it is true, definitely is quite disturbing. Admiral Brad Cooper, commander of the United States Central Command, announced in a congressional session that this entity has faced alongside other regional missions a growing threat from the Islamic Republic in recent months. The Islamic Republic is Iran, the Ayatollah controlled by the Ayatollah terrorists and the IRGC terrorists. He added that the U.S. military's investigation into the Minab school bombing is complex because the school was located at an active cruise missile base in Iran. And that's, of course, what terrorists do all throughout the Middle East, people. They put their military bases either in or very near to schools, churches, mosques, different places of worship, because they love to hold civilians as, or use civilians as human shields. They love to say, hey, nah, you cannot catch me. In other words, that's what they do. They will fire at innocent civilians in other countries, in other territories, and then say, well, you know what? You cannot fire back at us because we are in a hospital or near a hospital, or we are in near a church or a school. That's what they do. The CENTCOM commander also said that since the ceasefire, the Islamic Republic has executed dozens of people and deliberately targeted civilians thousands of times in the Middle East. Some of the countries that they are targeting are even their allies. They don't care. Jihadists don't care. They are bullies, and they are bold-faced bullies. Over the past 24 hours, well, probably more than 24 hours by now, the Israeli Defense Force struck more than 25 Hezbollah terror infrastructure sites in several areas in southern Lebanon. Israel continues to finish the job getting rid of those Hezbollah terrorists in Lebanon. Among the infrastructure sites struck were weapon storage facilities, command centers, and additional infrastructure sites from which Hezbollah terrorists operated to advance terror attacks against IDF soldiers and the state of Israel. You see the hypocrites outside here. They choose not to remember that all of the citizens in Israel, all the Israelis, had to basically evacuate the northern part of Israel for many months because they were being bombarded by the Hezbollah terrorists. And Israel said, enough is enough. We are going to eliminate Hezbollah. We're going to prevent them from coming anywhere close to our border. In addition, the IDF struck terrorists in the area of Christofani Ridge in southern Lebanon, and rocket launchers had launched rockets towards IDF soldiers operating in southern Lebanon and into the Israeli territory. You see, unlike Trump and America, Israel realizes and knows and understands that you cannot negotiate with terrorists. You have to eliminate them before they eliminate you.
Bible quote of the day. Psalm 68, 18-20. You have ascended on high. You have led captivity captive. You have received gifts among men, even from the rebellious, that the Lord God might dwell there. Blessed be the Lord, who daily loads us with benefits, the God of our salvation. Selah. Our God is the God of salvation, and to God the Lord belong escapes from death.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.